Welcome to Houston Sports Talk with your host, Robert Land.
Thanks for checking into the best Houston sports podcast, part of the Bleav Network, and joining me to preview the Texans-Colts game is our old Bleav colleague and friend, Colts insider Lawrence Owen, host of the Bleav in Colts podcast. Good to see you, Lawrence. And give me the Colts temperature after winning 4 of the last 5. What's it feel like there?
Well, I mean, if you look at the stat sheet and you see 4 of the last 5, started off 0-2 and then win 4 of the last 5, you would think that Colts fans are incredibly happy and think, oh, right, we're sitting currently with the 6th seed in the AFC and nothing but up, but really the temperature is kind of lukewarm. A win is a win. That is a cliche that everyone says, but it's not like the Colts don't have their problems, okay? And there's also a lot of question marks with some of the teams that the Indianapolis Colts have played. Situations where we feel like, as Colts fans, some of those wins should have been much bigger wins than what came out of, but a win is a win. So we'll see a little bit more, get a better feel after this Sunday's game against the Texans.
Yeah, I kind of, you talk to most fan bases, I think they mostly feel like the way you guys do it, and even the way we do. It's just like, the NFL, it's always ugly from week to week. And offensively, everybody's ugly this year because, how they're playing defense with the high shell game and stuff. It just feels like, oh, okay, that's everybody, right?
Yep. Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, that's the talk of the town right now, right?
Well, you got 2 key guys coming back this week for the Colts. And first, I want to ask you about defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. And he had a sack and a half in the first Texans game this year. What's it mean to get him back?
Oh, it's huge. Absolutely huge. We have noticed whenever we miss a guy like DeForest Buckner, especially him, he's so good at getting penetration across that offensive line and just creating problems in the backfield, whether it's in the run game or, getting pressure on quarterbacks. He forces double teams most of the time. And he's got so much ability to not just what he does, but the guys around him. His play raises the level of the play of the guys around him. As Colts fans, we're excited and hoping that, he comes back at least 90% because that injury he had was utterly disgusting. I thought he dislocated or broke his ankle, but it was just a high ankle sprain, which is, still bad. But if he comes back at least 90% for this game, we're very excited to have him back.
You also got Jonathan Taylor, running back, returning just 48 yards on 3 yards of carry in that week 1 game. How much Taylor do you think we're going to see? And are there any changes in the rushing attack from the offensive end for you guys since week 1?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely been a change. And I don't think you're going to get a full dose of Jonathan Taylor. Again, a high ankle sprain on a running back is not good, right? That's your plant and your cut foot. He is a 1 cut and go running back, and he needs that ankle at 100% to make that 1 cut and go very effective. So I think you'll probably see him. I don't think you're going to get the 15 to 25 touches, that you would normally expect from Jonathan Taylor. But the guy that has really came on as of late in his absence is Tyler Goodson, running back that we picked up last year. Out of Green Bay, and he's same style of running back, that 1 cut speed guy, 1 cut and go, who has really came on the last few games, averaging 4.7 yards a carry, 88.9% completion percentage. He's doing a fantastic job with run after the catch and getting those extra yards, utilizing his quickness. So the problem is the Colts earlier on, after we lost Jonathan Taylor, it was a lot of Trey Sermon, and it was a lot of between the tackles power run game, and it wasn't working. It was only averaging 2.7 to 3 yards a carry. Now that they're utilizing Goodson a little bit more, running some toss sweeps and stretch plays and things of that nature, kind of, utilizing the speed and the ability, the blocking ability on the perimeter for the Indianapolis Colts, because we got very good blocking wide receivers in Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman Jr. It's a little bit more explosive in that run game now.
All right, Anthony Richardson, 10 for 24 last week. In the 4 starts he's played most of the game in. He's yet to go over a 50% completion rate. But are you seeing any progress?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Not necessarily in the passing game. I mean, yeah, a little bit. He's making better decisions. He's not throwing into double and triple coverage like last week, like what I saw, which is what we saw a lot of earlier this year. But the biggest thing that I am noticing from him is he is not taking unnecessary hits as much as what he was before. Seeing him slide when he needs to slide or run out of bounds or something of that nature to avoid, unnecessary contact when it's not needed. So that is at least progress, and the effect of, it's going to help keep him on the field longer so that he gets more experience and continues to grow as a NFL quarterback. We'll see how he works out as a passer from the pocket this week, because this is really last week. It was his first game back in a few games, had that rust he had to shake off. Looked better in the second half than he did the first half, because the first half was absolutely awful. I think it was started off 0 for 7 or something like that. It was bad, but he looked much better in the second half, and we'll see how he continues to grow and get better this coming week.
What's been the biggest debate among the Colts fans and followers at this point? What is everybody talking about? What are they mad about? What do they want changed? What's the deal?
Lots of stuff going on with the Indianapolis Colts. We talked about how, Indy's 4 of their last 5, but, there's context that matters. And a lot of Colts fans are like, no, our defense is bad. Our pass defense has been great against guys like Malik Willis and Tyler Huntley and stuff like that. The run defense has been awful as opposed to what we're used to seeing. Now, granted, DeForest Buckner's been out, but DeForest Buckner was there week 1, and Joe Mixon and company really ran over the Colts week 1. The other question that the Colts have is quarterback. You have the guys that say, you got to play Richardson. He needs the experience to get better. Then others are saying, well, with Joe Flacco in the game, our passing is way, way, way better, right? I mean, he's averaging over 300 yards a game and multiple touchdowns and very low turnovers. He's been a very good pocket quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. So there is a debate among Colts fans on whether Flacco should be playing right now instead of Richardson to be in that win now mode rather than developing a young quarterback.
You think he gives you a better chance to win, Flacco, than Richardson right now?
Yes and no. It's week to week. It depends upon the team that you're playing, right? Because Richardson, when he's in, because of his mobility and what he could do with his legs, our run game is head and tails better than with Flacco in. Because if Flacco's in, there is no worry about Flacco taking off with the football. They key in on, when there's a play action or an option or something, they key in on whoever, the running back is. There's no freezing of the safeties or linebackers, and they can just go right after the running back. So the running game does suffer when Flacco is in. But at the same time, when Richardson's in, the passing game suffers, right? Because his accuracy, as you mentioned earlier, is below 50% for the season. Not good. He's one of those take it all or take nothing type, passing quarterbacks where he'll hit you for, I think he leads the NFL in average yards per attempt and per completion, but is last in the NFL in completion percentage. So it's a boom or bust with him when it's sitting back there behind the center, trying to throw the football.
Reminds me of the old Al Davis type quarterbacks from the Raiders days. For you old timers out there might remember that. But before we get to the key matchup Sunday, I just want to remind the audience that join us for our live Texans Colts post-game show right after Sunday's game. Bring us your comments and questions. And of course, for this show and all our content, I want your thoughts in the YouTube comments. Click the like button to support us. And if you haven't done so already, click the subscribe and notifications on YouTube so you know when we upload our new content. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you can listen to us while you're out and about as well. All right, Lawrence, so let's move to some key matchups. Joe Mixon just lit up the Colts a few weeks ago. I'm sure you remember that. The numbers show the Colts are the second worst rush defense, as you spoke about. Has anything changed from a few weeks ago in the run defense, just from a personnel standpoint? Anything they're trying to do differently?
We've got guys in and out of the front seven quite a bit, but also Gus Bradley has been hardcore, the defensive coordinator, hardcore focusing on defending the pass over the last 4 weeks as opposed to the run game. So teams are seeing a lot more 6-man boxes rather than 7 or 8, right? 7-man box being a normal box, 6-man box being a light box. Teams are going to run against that. I mean, you see a 6-man box, every offensive lineman in the NFL is going to go, let's go this way, right? So that's the problem. Live and die. You want to defend the run, but then it opens up the pass game. You defend the pass, it opens up the run game. You got to find a good middle ground there. And the Colts just haven't found that quite yet this year. I think they're waiting on a lot of guys to come back from injury, like guys like DeForest Buckner this week. So hopefully.
Yeah, that's how you're hoping for a change there. Texans pass protection, it looked horrible last week. Hasn't been great this year at all. Any stunts or movement is a Texans O-line issue at the moment. Can the Colts take advantage of the Texans?
Oh, yeah. If DeForest Buckner's even 90%, then him and rookie Leatu Latu are very good at doing stunts and twists together. They're very good at horizontal movement and changing up from going left or right to straight on. The stunts and the twists are very much in the playbook for the defensive line. So they utilize that more than they do blitzing. Always have, to be frankly, with the Gus Bradley defense. Everybody knows Bradley does not like to send more than 4. He's done so more this year than what he used to, but he's still bottom 10 in the league in blitz percentage. So
yeah, that's going to be a problem. We'll see how the Texans adjust. I mean, they keep saying they're working on it. We'll find out. Besides Buckner and Taylor's return, are there any Colts injuries that are a storyline right now?
Yeah, I would say you got offensive linemen that are in and out. Ryan Kelly's been in and out all year with a calf injury. Our right guard, Will Fries, who was one of the bigger surprises on the offensive line. He broke his shin bone a few weeks back, but the guy that has replaced him has done pretty good overall. EJ Speed, our will linebacker, dealing with a knee injury. He's practicing full right now, but he missed last week. The guy who replaced him ended up with 18 tackles. He was a special teamer, Grant Stewart. But injury-wise, outside of that, I think we're going to be all right. I mean, obviously, we got some guys that are not practicing. At least they did not practice yesterday, but I expect them to be full goes on Fridays because it's just little stuff like Josh Downs' toe injury and stuff like that. Michael Pittman has a back. He never practices on Wednesday. He's been dealing with his back injury for a few weeks, but he still comes in and plays anyhow. So,
yeah, I'm looking with the Texans side. We're hearing that Toa, the concussion, he was back Wednesday. As I looked Thursday, he's not. It looks like he's probably a no-go. Same with the Z. So the 2 starting linebackers have been the starting linebackers at least, while Christian Harris is out. They're going to miss their second straight week. My guess is that it's going to be difficult for the Colts to take advantage because I feel like the biggest advantage you could take with the Texans right now is in the pass game with those 2 backup starting linebackers. And I'm not as concerned about that for the reasons that you were talking about with Anthony Richardson. So like that to me is a factor. And then Kamari Lassiter is coming back this week, it looks like. So that's good news for the Texans because D'Angelo Ross just nowhere in the class of Lassiter. And Lassiter's been okay this year. He's been solid as a rookie. So with him and Stingley, they're okay there. Jimmy Ward's still not going to be back at safety. But, I mean, you just kind of expect that with the Texans. Jimmy Ward's like out 1 week, 2 weeks, and maybe he's back, maybe he's not. So I don't know if that makes a whole lot of difference. But I'll also be interested to see Danico Autry because he came back from the suspension last week and didn't really play a whole lot. So I'm interested to see if he's going to play more and if he's going to make an impact because he made no impact last week. And you know what, Lawrence, I'm kind of shocked the Texans are favored by 5 last I checked. And because this offense, they're not good without Nico. The Colts always play the Texans close. Are you surprised about the spread?
I really am, because Nico is the guy that, we was discussing this before we started. Nico is the guy that's been the Colts killer, right? He's the guy that has really put the Texans over the top the last few times that we've played with outstanding play and the big plays down the field. It kind of makes me curious, what are they thinking about? I mean, it could just be, that they feel like Anthony Richardson is going to turn the football over, right? Which I can't argue with that, because he's had quite a few turnovers during the games he's played. So, you turn the football over, you generally don't win games. That could be it. But yeah, a huge hit for the Texans losing Nico Collins. Oh, and by the way, Danico Autry, look, Colts fans know Danico very, very well. He was on our team for a few years. Picked him up, I believe it was from the Raiders. Played very, very good football for us. Then he left and went to the Titans, as you know, and played very good football over there as well. So I'm sure that Danico will come into his own. He was probably just rusty last week. So that kind of worries me a little. I didn't realize that Danico was back.
Yeah, no, he's back. And, one of the things that you and I were talking about before we started is you thought the Texans were probably going to beat the Colts in the first game. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I had the Texans winning against the Colts week 1, but with the injuries that the Texans have built up and our new revamped secondary, because right now our outside corners right now are only giving up a 40 and a 70 passer rating each, right? One's a 40 passer rating, the other's a 70 passer rating. They're much better than what they were week 1, because, we got Samuel Womack back there now instead of Juju Brents or Dallas Flowers, because both we had to get rid of Dallas Flowers because he was playing awful. And then, of course, Juju's on IR. With the loss of Nico and that, that big play that he provides, and the Indianapolis Colts being better in the secondary, and the fact that we're getting a couple key guys back, I feel like the Indy should win this game. Colts usually play very well down in NRG, and the Texans usually play well in Indy. So it's just how it's been over the last few years. And week 1 wasn't a blowout by any means. It was a good, close game. So we'll see how it works out. But I'm kind of siding with the Indy on this week.
Do you feel like the Colts can make a legit run at this division? I'm just curious, like the confidence level doesn't seem high with the quarterback, but I just feel like right now, I don't know what to feel like week to week with the Texans. They've got to get some guys back before I feel like, I have some confidence in them going the rest of this division. They're a 91% chance, by the way, to make the playoffs. And I think that's because they're in the AFC South. Is a pretty simple explanation for that.
I'm kind of up in the air right now with the Indianapolis Colts. I feel like we have a very good roster. I think we have a very, very good roster. We just got a lot of injuries, same as you, right? At quarterback, that's the big key. Right? Can we continue to see some improvement by Anthony Richardson? If he's going to be the starter the whole season, and if he stays healthy, we need to start seeing him get a little bit better. The way like what we saw from Josh Allen a few years back, where he just incremental progressions, getting better and better at completion percentages. We've seen the better decisions when it comes to running the football for him. Now we need to see other stuff, but outside of that, like I said, I'm up in the air. I feel like the Colts absolutely could end up taking the division from the Texans down the road, but they need a few things to go right for them in order for that to happen.
Yeah, the big advantage right now the Colts have is, the Texans had a first place schedule. It's really difficult as the year progresses here, because the Texans later in the year, they got teams like the Chiefs and the Ravens, and they've got like this stretch of, which I hate, which is about 3 games in 10 days at the end of the year with 2 of those 3 teams. So that's where it could get interesting. But, let's see what the Texans can do as far as getting this thing back together, offensive line wise. And hopefully Nico's going to be back in a couple of weeks. And of course, that's a huge deal. So yeah, this should be fun. I Bleav in Colts. Remind everybody a little bit about what you guys are doing over there and what's going on.
My name is Lawrence Owen. As you can see, I have a co-host, Donald Thomas, former starting offensive lineman for the Indianapolis Colts and New England Patriots and Dolphins. And he's my co-host. We talk every week on Bleav in Colts. You can find us on YouTube. You could find us on anywhere you listen to an audio podcast, whatever platform that is. So we do previews. We do game reviews. And of course, I've got my other stuff that I do, the Colts Law, where I do game breakdowns, film rooms, do live streams, and talk with people and stuff. So absolutely. I mean, I know most of you all are Texans fans, but if you ever want to come over and see what's going on across the fence, feel free to come over and hang out.
Yeah, I'm sure Texans fans want to know what's going on in the division with all the it's going on with Colts, because really, that feels like the one threat to the Texans in the division this year. And you're at Colts_Law on X as well. And it's always good to catch up with you, and always fun to be talking Texans Colts. It's never dull.
No, it isn't. It's always back and forth between our teams, and that makes for a good rivalry.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.
Hey, don't forget to support us by subscribing and commenting on YouTube. You can always listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast app. Tell your friends about us and share our show links on social media. Spread the word, everybody. Thanks for listening.